President Biden failing to mention the border crisis while campaigning yesterday in New Mexico, border state. This as the National Border Patrol Council announcing that more than 200,000 migrant arrests happened last month, about 2,000 daily gotaways. Joining me now is Texas Congressman and member of the House Judiciary Committee, Chip Roy. Congressman, it would be a shock if Biden had the audacity to bring up a crisis he created.
Well, Dagan, thanks for having me on. And yeah, it's one of those things that the reality of this president is that he will refuse to acknowledge what's actually happening at the border. We experience it every single day in Texas. Just talked about New Mexico, Arizona. And we talk about these big numbers that nobody can understand. And I just want everybody watching this. The key here, these are human beings. 53 dead human beings in a tractor trailer in San Antonio, Texas, cooked in the Texas heat. About 1,000 that have been found dead on ranches in South Texas. And let's talk about the 72,000 Americans dead from fentanyl. That is more than we lost in the entirety of 20 years in the Vietnam War. We had 200 and something thousand encounters, according to Border Patrol in October. That's almost 3.5, actually pushing 4 million during the time of the Biden administration, and 1 million gotaways. Almost 100 on the terrorist watch list. I can keep going, Dagan. We know that they refuse to secure the border. It's intentional, and the American people are suffering as a result, and so are the migrants who are seeking to come here. It's unconscionable, but hopefully help us on the way if Republicans are elected on Tuesday. But let me just tell you something. Republicans then have a duty to stand up and use the power of the purse to force Biden to actually do his job and secure the border.
How would you do that in terms of starving the Democrats of funding or funding necessities to stop this border crisis?
Well, that's actually a great question, right? I mean, the founders gave us the power of the purse, Congress, right? Article 1, Federalist 58, James Madison talked about it. We're supposed to use that to check an executive branch that refuses to do its job. And that's what's happening here. Let's be very clear. So all we need to do is go in and say, look, guys, we're going to fund government. We're going to fund it this way. We're going to fund it saying that you're going to have a rider demanding that you turn people away or detain them fully. You cannot encounter and release. That's what they're doing. If we put that into the appropriation bill, if we say that you have to end this and take these steps, then they'll have to react to that. If they refuse to do it, then it is they, the Democrats in the Senate, or they, the Democrats in the White House, President Biden, that would be shutting down the government. Republicans can't curl up in the corner going, oh, no, they'll accuse us of shutdown. We just stand up, do our job, fund the government properly, the way the American people and all the people watching the show want us to do our job, stop spending money we don't have, control inflation, stop funding a DHS that refuses to secure the homeland, and then force them to actually have to react.
Or the DHS that has apparently, based on this new report this week, a portal into Facebook so it can tell Facebook and Instagram what to censor. That would be unconstitutional. It would certainly sounds that way, that they're interfering with the First Amendment and your own judiciary. Are you going to be looking into that with more zeal and zest than the Democrats would be?
Well, Dagan, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, proud to serve on the Judiciary Committee with my friend Jim Jordan, who hopefully will be the chairman of that committee. We put out a report. I think it got leaked out last night, and you all have it, showing the absolute egregious abuses of the Department of Justice in particular, but also we're looking at the Department of Homeland Security and the extent to which the federal government is being weaponized against the people, the abuse of power, the politicization of those entities. We've got parents being targeted for daring to question school boards. They're being put and labeled as domestic terrorists. We've got the abuses that are going on targeting parents, for example, for daring to go and exercise their First Amendment rights at abortion clinics, and then suddenly a SWAT team showing up at their house. These are unacceptable realities of what's happening with the power of the federal government, and DHS is one of those. We saw exactly what happened when Alejandro Mayorkas knew. He knew the truth about those Haitian migrants. He had a memo that day, 2 hours before the press conference, and then he went to the microphone and he lied to the American people, and he said it was systemic racism, and he then looked at the camera and said that those people who worked for him, those Border Patrol agents, whipped those Haitian migrants, and they did not. That is not what you do with the power of government, and that's what the Democrats are doing, and we have to expose it.
Congressman, the American people will never forget Joe Biden the president standing behind the presidential seal at the White House and castigating and vilifying those very Border Patrol agents on horseback with those very lies that they knew were lies. And if he wanted to change his approval, his disapproval, if he wanted to turn it's certainly the way people feel about him around, he would have apologized a year ago. He would have apologized. Well, it would never happen, but he could have apologized a year ago to those Border Patrol agents, because you're really apologizing and standing up for all Border Patrol agents. But based on this open border, he's not and has not. Before we go, I want to bring Christian Whiten in here. Congressman, here's Christian.
Congressman, I know you have an op-ed out about a balanced budget and the need for one before congressmen engage in campaign fundraising. This has been kind of a sleeper issue that went out of vogue seemingly, but I'm curious, are you seeing now with inflation where it is, it seems like government, we've finally found the level, progressives in Congress have finally found the level where if you spend more, you get more inflation after many years where that didn't seem to be a factor. Is this coming back as an issue, and is there any way that a Republican Congress, maybe with a Republican president here, could actually balance the budget?
Well, thanks for the question. Yeah, one can hope so. You know, I was having a conversation with my good friend, Senator Phil Graham, about a year ago about this, saying, Senator, gosh, this is terrible. All this spending, it's going to drive up inflation. It's terrible. It's increasing the size and scope and the power of government. So what do I do about this? He said, Chip, you know, the country will come back to you, and your colleagues will come back to you on this. And you know what? He's right. And, you know, we're going to get out and lead on this. The American people are now seeing what happens when you spend money you don't have, when you dump $5 trillion into the economy. You get inflation. We've got to stop that. Stop spending money we don't have, like every family, every budget does. So I introduced a bill that says, you know what? We shouldn't be fundraising. We shouldn't be actively soliciting dollars, which is the lifeblood of politicians. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, until you've done your dang job. Go to Washington, get in there. Let's pass a balanced budget. Let's appropriate to that budget. Then let's get in there and sling a little mud and have a few fights over policy issues. But let's do our dang job. And I don't think we should be out begging for money of any type until we've done our job. Look, the Texas legislature does that. They can't raise money during the legislative session every 2 years.
Right.
So why can't Congress follow that model?
Congressman Chip Roy, thank you for being here.